Hey everyone, and welcome to another E38 video. First of all, I apologize I haven't made any sooner. The weather just hasn't been that great for filming. Anyways, I'm here today to give you some insight about how much it costs to own a 2001 BMW 740i MSport, and to also give you a look at the ownership experience. So, let's get into it. So I've owned the car for about a year now, and I've just put over 5,000 kilometers on it, and in that time frame I've spent just over $1,200 in maintenance. I purchased the car last year in May of 2018, and the first thing to go out was the rear brake light. And that was a really simple fix. The bulb itself was like $6 and it took maybe 30 seconds to replace. Anyways, fast forward to September, and I noticed that the car wasn't handling all that well. So I took it into my mechanic, and sure enough, there was quite a few things that had to be replaced. The first thing was the steering center link. That part was about 180 bucks or so, and that was all that had to be done to the front of the suspension. As for the rear lower ball joints and the integral links had to be replaced. Total price for those two ball joints and the integral links was 200 bucks or so. And as far as the engine goes, there was a leak around the cam solenoids. So the cam solenoid gaskets have to be replaced, and the price for those two gaskets was 15 bucks. Other than that, an oil change was done using 5W40 Motul synthetic oil, and doing an oil change on these BMW 4.4 V8s takes about 7.8 quarts of oil, or 7.5 liters. And since each quart was around 9 bucks, the total price for the oil change was, roughly 75 bucks or so. And also an oil filter was done. And along that, a coolant flush was also done using BMW's long life coolant. And that was about 25 bucks or so. So all in all, accounting for parts and labor, that one service cost just a little over 1,200 bucks. Other than that, the car hasn't had any other problems mechanically, thanks to it being regularly maintained over its life. The only other issue I had was some body damage. Basically, a log rolled down my driveway recently and cracked the front bumper trim where the parking sensors are, and I'm looking at getting that replaced. I mean, overall the car is in really good condition considering how old it is. It does have, a few minor dings and scratches, but nothing too severe. I also did check the thickness of the paint, and everything seems to be within factory specs, so I guess it goes to show that nothing too shady has been done on this car. So now that I've given you an idea of the maintenance costs, let's talk about what it's like to live within E38 on a day-to-day basis. The first thing you're going to notice is how great of an all-around car the E38 MSport is. It's really refined, very comfortable, and super quiet. My friends and family love traveling in this car, and whenever someone new sits in, they're always amazed by all the cool features and how comfortable it is sitting in here, especially when you tell them how much the car is actually worth. As far as handling goes, I mean, it's no M3, but for a 4,200 pound car, it moves pretty well thanks to that upgraded MSport suspension. I mean, for my driving style, the car is perfectly adequate. I mostly use it for highway cruising and city driving, and it does those two things fantastic, and that's because the car is so refined, and it also has decent power. With the V8, I find that, it gives you some nice low-end torque, and you're never pressed to rev the engine. And while the suspension has been stiffened to handle better, you're going to find that it doesn't sacrifice ride quality in any way, really. It's also a fantastic camera car. We've used it on this channel to get some nice moving shots of cars, and the footage came out great. Alright, moving on. The second thing you're going to notice with the E38 MSport is how much people respect this car. People really admire the E38, and I've received multiple thumbs up and nods while sitting in traffic. And also, when you drive down the street, there's a good chance there's going to be someone just giving this car a stare. It's also really loved by automotive journalists. For instance, when there was that Top Gear video of Chris Harris at the car warehouse, the car he chose was the E38 Alpina. Doug DeMuro also called this the best luxury sedan ever made, specifically the E38 MSport short wheelbase in black. And there was also a Smoking Tire podcast with Matt Farah and Doug DeMuro a few months back, and when they were talking about used cars and which used cars get the most views on YouTube, they mentioned, and they both agreed on, that the E38 MSport short wheelbase in black was the car to have. Overall, people really respect this car, and that's mostly because of its classic design and how timeless it looks, and also because it brings back a lot of nostalgia from the late 90s and early 2000s, being that it was featured in movies and commercials, such as the James Bond series, among other movies as well. So there you have it. That's what it's like to live with a 2001 BMW 740i MSport. Now, the car has been fantastic, and it's really done everything I've asked of it. And when I bought it a year ago, my initial intention was to own it for, a year or so, film some content, and then move on to another car. But now, I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready to give it up just yet. Anyways, thanks for watching. I hope this has given you some insight as to what it's like to own a well-sorted E38. Now, bear in mind that there's probably a lot of E38s on the market there that might be worth $2,000 to $3,000 and are some real projects. And owning one might not be as smooth as this, and that's mostly because this car has been so well maintained and has gone through regular maintenance cycles. Anyways, if you would like to see a full review of this car, I'll leave a link in the description below. And also check out the channel for any other E38 content. So, as always, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share, all the good stuff, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks.